Hey guys, Steve here with the strategy session for Monday, July 14th, 2014. And we're going to take a quick look at the S&P 500 futures. So basically, as we discussed in the free trade idea, really what was previous support is now becoming previous resistance is now becoming new support as the market pushed above this small consolidation in here and now pulled back right to it, and also to trend line support. 2 nice strong days off of that trend line to reestablish that level. So for right now, if we were long the futures, our stop would be sitting around this 1940 level. But we are not long the futures. What we are long are 5 positions that we'll run through real quick. First one being Apple. Apple really moving sideways from where we entered. Our entry signal was here on the 7th. We basically were filled at the open on the 8th, which was around 96.13. So we're sitting slightly above that, really consolidating since that breakout area, moving sideways, possibly until earnings are announced. We are at the top of a weekly channel, so that could be the reason for, not having a lot of movement higher. But at this point, there are a couple trend lines we can draw, and the one that I'm looking at right now is right around this angle here. Could take this one off. So right now our stop is basically sitting below consolidation at this 90-20 level essentially. So for right now, we'll leave it at that. Next one is ADM. Again, if you subscribe to the free trade idea, which I highly recommend, you'll see my analysis on that. But again, after this breakout, we had a couple sideways days or sideways movement until we had the nice strong bullish engulfing pattern where we gapped down below the previous 2 days lows and then closed above the previous 2 days highs. And since then we had a 2 or 3 day move higher, today being a doji, for which kind of signals some indecision, so we could potentially get a little pullback here. But I do like the breakout on the weekly, and I think that this has much higher to go. For right now, the stop is at 43.51. Potentially could move to this 46 level, depending on how the market and how the stock reacts in the next few days. AMT again entered long. Our trigger was on the 7th. We entered the next day on the 8th, and since then we've had 4 up days in a row. Today closing right at the top of today's range. So at this point, stop is still down here around this 87.80 level. Earnings coming up on the 30th, and again we're starting to get this nice little breakout from a weekly consolidation. So looks like it has some legs, but let's see where it takes us. TWX again really moving sideways right above this consolidation that triggered the breakout. Since the breakout, we had a great fill down here at 71.83. So for right now, again, just really moving sideways. You can look at this as actually a bearish engulfing pattern for today, being that it opened above and it closed below yesterday's range. So we'll see how that reacts. But for right now, again, stop down 67.80, and it looks like we're starting to finally just get this little push that we wanted above a weekly consolidation. The last one is Windham Resorts. Again, opened higher, closed lower. Not really much going on here. Again, the weekly consolidation starting to get a little push above that. But, here's our trend line. So, if this came back into this 75 level, I wouldn't be very surprised to see that again stop down here at 72.50 area, which is basically the last swing low along that trend line. So it's really a delicate process to figure out when to move stops. I really like to do it when we get a consolidation and then a move higher, that we can have actual realistic areas to move a stop to. Something like ADM, for right now, I wouldn't feel too comfortable about moving our stop here because, we could come back down to this 45 level and be stopped out. So for right now, if we had another, say, 4 or 5 days sideways and then a breakout, then absolutely I would want to move my stop to there. and really just trail stops using those consolidations. But for right now, it's kind of tough. So again, it's a delicate little process to do so, and but we'll do our best to get it to a point where we're locking in profits and reducing risk as we move on. So today's watch list, or I'm sorry, this week's watch list, we had a handful of stocks that were lower. The market was up. Looks like the S&P was up about 10 points. The Dow was up 111 points. So definitely had a nice strong day. So not surprising to see a majority of our watch list stocks are in green. We'll run through a couple real quick. Facebook, the alert did trigger this morning, but we do need a definitive breakout over 68 to get involved. Our stop would be down here at this 62.74 level. So for right now, especially with earnings coming up, there's probably no trade going on in Facebook. But, the alert did trigger this morning. Another alert that triggered was PBI, Pitney Bowes, again, pushed right above that resistance level, triggered that alert. Nice sideways movement. So another strong day higher. We could potentially enter a trade here. But again, we're coming up to that. We're under the 2-week threshold for when we enter trades. So for right now, again, looks like no trade. It's going to be tough these next couple weeks just because most earnings are happening the next few weeks. So we really would like to make sure that we stick to that 2-week rule just so we're not involved too late. Eaton, again, had a nice push higher over this 79.23 level, but closed lower. So for right now, again, no trade on that. Nvidia still moving higher, pushing against, looks like it wants to definitely test that 1960 level. Nice sideways weekly consolidation and the trend line support. Host Hotels, again, this one did not trigger. It was close to triggering an alert today, but we're really right under that 2278 alert. So another strong day higher, and looks like we possibly could enter that if it happens tomorrow or the next day. AIG, really back to the middle of the box. Lincoln Financial opened higher, closed lower. Not something we would like to see. Glowworm, I always call it Glowworm. It's really corny, but for some reason I call it Glowworm. Still consolidating inside that consolidation area. Lockheed Martin tested the bottom of the box, now bouncing higher. Looks like 167.18 could be a potential target. ExxonMobil. So as you can see, guys, a lot of these are right in the middle of the range. One that did trigger today, Mondelez. Earnings are not until the 6th. Broke above this consolidation area that we had identified. So we will enter Mondelez for tomorrow. We had a move higher. One of the reasons I didn't want to get in from Friday's bar was how it gapped so high, closed lower. I don't know if this was a misprint in the pricing, but to have that big tail and to close right back at resistance is not really a good sign. But today we pushed higher, closed above resistance. So we will enter Mondelez with a stop below 37. And the two stocks that we ended up getting in from Friday, I should have covered prior, is Amazon and Fidelity and EQR. So sorry I didn't cover these earlier. Amazon we got a great fill on. We got filled at this 346.86 approximately. So we're up on the day. Another nice strong move higher. Earnings coming up on the 24th. So today was 10 days until earnings, but Friday's trigger was exactly 2 weeks. So moving higher, the next resistance area could be this 362. Then we could have a 378. I really try not to look at resistance areas. I try to just more trail my stops where possible. But for right now, we got a great fill on Amazon. Equity residential, again, another decent fill, not much going on. Basically got filled at the opening price, which was almost the closing price for the day. Still moving higher. See what happens. And Fidelity, again, this was another great fill. We had a nice little poke above resistance, gap higher, and we were filled at this 55.76. Had a small pullback to test Friday's high, and now is moving higher. So now we are at all-time closing highs on Fidelity. Closing highs, not all-time highs. All-time highs are this 56.20 area, but we're within striking distance of that. So, guys, that's really it for tonight. As I said, the stocks that we are in, are the strongest stocks that we identified from the weekend update. So, again, if you haven't watched the weekend update, I suggest you go back and do so, just to get an idea of how this process plays out, how we identify some stocks over the weekend when the markets are closed, and use that for our trading for the week. So for right now, all our positions look good. Market looks good, and I think the portfolio is up about $1,300. Paper money, of course, but that's just buying breakouts and just trailing stops. So not much going on right now, but in the next few weeks, I'm sure we'll be able to trail some stops or possibly get stopped out of positions for small loss. Until then, guys, I hope you have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.